great history. So I pulled the veil for this, so to honor Our Lady of Guadalupe Day. The Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe is in a couple of days, and I'm glad that this could happen here. So in the same kind of fashion, I would like to drop the curtain on. So I'll do that for you now.
Question?
Yes.
Said you made it on his town with a town.
Oh, it's a poncho that was made out of cactus
I have a
threads.
question. I don't know what people have a question. Okay, poncho.
What is it?
The original tomb, which I believe is in the Cathedral of Mexico City.
It's in the Basilica.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. It was on cactus cloth that, generally speaking, decays within 150 years, and somehow it's been miraculously preserved since that time in its original condition. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's not on view anymore.
No?
No, I mean, on rare occasions. The light is too damaging to it, even through good glass.
Wow.
I saw it in '66, and that's remarkable. The only thing it's missing from what I remember is the half moon crescent underneath, which you know about.
Yes.
But that's magnificent, yeah. And there are always roses around it in the basilica.
Yes.
I've been told roses are the highest vibrational energy on earth.
Yes.
I can see roses.
You can?
Yeah.
Wow.
Rose perfume.
That's amazing. She's here. Wow.
Interesting energy here. I feel it's like a vibration. It's like a interesting.
Excuse me, when you had mentioned the 7 earlier, when I think you saw the UFO, you know, the Pleiades, the 7 sisters.
Oh, that's true. The Palladian.
Yes.
I never even thought of that. Thank you. Cool.
Do you have oil in the picture?
Hmm?
Do you have oil in that picture?
Oh, from the man? Yes. I primed it with the oil. Not too much because it's so precious, but I definitely put it on there.
It's not rose.
No, it's actually, they tested it, the oil that comes out of his paintings, and it was, I believe it was 20%.
86% olive oil.
86% olive oil.
14% is completely unaffected.
40% is they don't know. There's a chemical carbon composition that they can't just discover. Discovery channels come to his house. Dr. Zugabe, who studies stigmata and acoustics, has come there, and they said, this is real. You know, the Catholic Church would come and get that. They would give him huge things, because Mary would fill, every Good Friday would fill up chalices of them for him, not only with the painting.
You talk about the painting next door.
Yeah.
What's the,
Where does it weep away from?
It just comes out of the eyes, and all of his stuff, and all the statues, and sometimes it would be blood. All of his statues started to do it, every single painting, but this one main one would really bring a lot until you had to put a trough under it. They don't know, it wasn't from the back, no, but the back, interestingly, every time you turn around, there was a message on it. Sometimes it would stay for a few months. It would give dates and messages, and it would have Mary smiling. It was like someone took your finger and finger painted, and I mean, I know for sure that no one was allowed to touch the painting, so no one could get to it.
What's the ring on the bottom? And also, don't you love it when you see these shows where the scientists try to debunk this stuff that's happening? Some of the stuff they come up with is just so absurd. But What's the ring on the ground? Is it a ring of the string or something?
Yeah, that's a metal. The symbol for the sacred feminine, which is since 2012, you know, since the convergence happened, the age that we're in now, not to be misunderstood, is the sacred feminine, which is why I think the mother is now is going to come. I think you know, it's going to be the change of the earth. The earth is the springboard to this new change. You know, the age before that was the age of Olin, which is on her, which is the Olin is a bow like that, if you've seen it. And this was the age of war, infinite war. So there's always in the masculine, sacred masculine phase, 26,000 years of the cycle. I mean, some shaman or Mayan can tell you better than me.
No, I know that kind of stuff.
I learned about the symbol. It was a symbol of the upside down triangle, which I believe is water.
Okay. So that's what that ring is this sign of the new awakening feminine?
Yeah, it's waiting to be born.
Oh, okay.
What's the white skull, like, on the lower right, is that something?
Mexican culture, the elders believe that these mysterious crystal skulls have been found, as you know, and they contain information of the cosmos and healing powers. And I know certain people who have them, I've been privy to them, and I was inspired to put them on because being that this is a Mexican, you know, Mesoamerican story.
So you painted this yourself?
Yeah.
And like, how long did it take? Like, did you like channel it, or did you compare? Like, did you see the other one when you did this? Like, what was the process? Did it take a month to do, or?
I didn't look at anything.
Pencil first, or?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you prime the canvas and then you try to map it out. I did it during hurricane. I started Hurricane Sandy. I had no electricity. I had stretch waiting to do this, and I just hadn't got to it. I've been so busy, you know how it is. And interestingly enough, is as I'm starting it, and I had candlelight because it was, as you remember, it was most of the days were cloudy and cold. My neighborhood, you know, where I live, is a really tough neighborhood. And there was all kinds of crime going on, and you could hear it in the streets. I mean, you could hear people like cowling and howling in the streets, doing things. I'm just like, keep the doors locked, you know. And we had to keep our food outside and everything. And as I'm painting it, I hear that, and I think to myself, and I was talking to Lisa about it. Wow, you know, this is bad energy for me. It's hard for me to do this, but I really want to. She goes, remember that when the original painting came out, the Aztec culture was, you know, there were swords to the throat, and people were, you know, being pillaged. You know, it was a horrible time in history. So it kind of conformed right to the time. So I crushed a mortar and pestle. I crushed crystals and mica and mixed it in with my paint, so that's what reflector light.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I learned about how the mysterious paint was made. And actually, mica has electromagnetic ability to it. And they used to use layers of mica to create electricity and charge these clay batteries they used to use. And if you take mica and you have a long sheets of it, it's also fireproof, which also explains some of it, how the Guadalupe original tilma was not burned when it burned. So it was all these reasons why I used it. So it conducts spiritual energy as well, the stones and crystals. So.
Yeah, your friend Ray Stockton, who passed away recently, you had to take on it.
Yes.
He said these weeping statues that you say copiously weep outside of a compound, and then they were collected and taken to church. I'm assuming that's within the jurisdiction of the Archdiocese of Newark?
Yeah, but it was all of it. I mean, you know.
Well, has the local bishop made any statement about this? Has the church investigated? What's the church's current stance on this?
I mean, they were investigating it from the beginning. I mean, the original apparition of Mary happened. Hey, there's a story about. This is why I could speak all day. The 14 Hawthorne Street. This is a really cool story. That what happened was the woman in the 1800s, I forget the exact date, lived on that estate. Mm-hmm. Her name was Miss Morose, which is interesting because Miss and Morose Rose. So it has Mary in it, and you know the Rose. Her, I believe her son was in a wheelchair. Couldn't walk, and there was an apparition in her rose garden where his house currently stands, where Mary came and healed this child, came out of the wheelchair, and since then had been appearing in the state. Since then, the developers built it, but they called it the Marian section of town for this apparition. And there's just so many apparitions that happen that we don't even know, including the one I had. I mean, there's some that are more famous than others.
And this is specifically where in New Jersey?
It's on Hawthorne, 6th Avenue. Do you know anything about
No.
General Square?
No, the name of the town is,
Where's he sitting?
oh, it's in Jersey City for a second.
Yeah, it's in right where General Square is, near the train station and something. But since then, what happened was in his basement, when the house was built, he was a child, she would appear in the basement because that's where it's ground level, where the rose garden was. And he would see her as a child with his brother, and they didn't know what to do. So it was a bar room. They had a bar there. They had a picture of Marilyn Monroe and this and that. And the bishop would come, and he came to his basement and saw that Marilyn Monroe. And this is like, what's going on here? You know? He says, no, this is where she originally appeared because they asked to know. And they immediately thought he was a little bit like this can't be right. You know, how could you be a saint when this is on the wall and this is a room where they serve alcohol? And but truly, that's where it happened. But he then built. He worked with a friend, but they bought a house across the street and they turned it into the Ray Polk House. So you can still go there to pray. The original painting was taken by his wife. We really would like it back to the thing. But I know his wife well. I can go visit the painting. But they still have the Ray Polk House, and people pray there, and all good things happen.
Well, my question is this officially approved by the church? Have they taken a stance one way or the other, encouraging people to go to this?
Yeah, they have.
They have sacraments there?
Yeah, well, they do see him as a little bit of a rebel. I will tell you that. They don't, because he doesn't do things traditionally. He emphasizes Mary, and there's things that the Catholic Church, I think, do have to understand about the sacred feminine, and they won't let go, you know. So, but he's very much focused on Mother Mary, and because that's what would come to him. That was what he said, and that's where his visions came. So. That was his style of doing it, and he would go to the church and pray, but, you know, yeah, he would hand his oil out. But when he originally got stigmata, he walked to the church, and the story was that the chandeliers moved with him.
Oh, really?
They're all like, wow. So, yeah, you could probably find out in the archdiocese.
People making pilgrimages there to this day, I think.
Oh, at the beginning, it was like, you couldn't even get, there was line, I mean, there was hundreds of people in line to even get to his doorstep. You know, there was weird cars always parked out, people waiting for him, crying, throwing things. His medals at his doors, and begging for prayers. He got so many calls. I mean, it was like he would call us to empathize with him because he would have so many calls to pray. I mean, from morning till night, he was constantly praying for people. He burnt his life out, but he knew it was his call. He was like a Padre Pio, but he never left Jersey City. He would never leave the town. He just, I don't know what it was. He just said, I can't leave. He needs to be around for this place.
What's the name of the movie again? Just Stigmata?
The movie Stigmata.
I heard about Ray like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
How do I do that? Where is Jerusalem?
I had a booklet of his with the pictures of his hands and stuff. I didn't bring it. I didn't know I would be talking about it.
Where did you say you burned that?
Well, you know, it's like if you...
I mean, he did live a long life, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, it was like, what, 8, 10 years from the stigmata or so that he died. And his daughter, was trying to tell him, slow down, because you're taking up prayer for people, and you could see him physically change when he would pray for someone. He would take it on. And he would just literally, like look like he was going to keel over. And by the time the rosary ended, because when the rosary began, he did a rosary every week. When the rosary began, he had ice blue eyes. By the time it ended, it was like dark brown. He would take on so much energy. So he became my hero. I mean, in a way, my mentor. And I would visit him all the time. I think he influenced my life. In a way, I know he's with me. So, we want to break?
Yeah.
So we can do the channel.